Hey guys, and happy Sunday. Welcome to Coach Castle's Live. Doing it again. Hopefully the service doesn't get interrupted. Give me 1 second to turn this off. All right. Now we can get to it. So, as you guys know, you might want to just skip ahead 5 minutes if you haven't already considered it. I don't really have questions the first 5 minutes of the taping, so I'm just going to go over some business. So, first order of business. This week, I'm going to be making some O2 trainer videos. If you guys don't know what that is, it's kind of like you see people wearing, except obviously they don't really simulate being at high altitude. But it's used to train your diaphragm. So I'll be going over how to train those, or how to use those for training properly this week. A couple quick little videos that'll be going in my breathing exercise playlist. I'm going to be doing a gym gadget review. So this is going to be me going over basically anything I think is a worthwhile buy from Amazon or online as a gym gadget. I've been going through it for the years, and I got a list of a few things here I want to tell you guys to buy because they're actually worth the money. Then I'm going to go over my nightly stretching routine sometime this week. I'm going to be talking about the power of your expectations and perceptions on your mentality of food, including your digestion of it, how much you retain fat, how easy fat is for you to keep on and off your body. A lot of these actually have to do with the placebo and nocebo effect. So I'll be getting into that this week as well. I'm going to be doing another biomechanics lecture. This will be in my intelligent arguments for exercise. I'll have another Jerry podcast on Sunday, another Mythbusters. If you have any myths you want busted, we haven't got to them already, leave them in the comments and I'll get to it. I'm going to be doing some portable gym videos, so demonstrating how to use my portable keychain gym. If you guys haven't already heard about it, it's my latest thing. It's only 4 ounces. You can take it with you anywhere, and you can train every single muscle on your body perfectly. If you ever want to buy the gym or any of the things you see behind me, you just go to my Etsy store. They're all there, available for digital download, except my portable gym, myself, all good to go. But anyways, that's for the Etsy store. Check 4 books up there, one with biomechanics, one having to do with your mind, one having to do with basically structuring and building your life in the correct order and efficiency. I have flashcards up there of various kinds. I have exercise programs for handicapped people. I have monthly trackers, daily trackers, and planners, all of these things. A lot of you guys haven't checked out my Etsy store, I'm sure, for whatever reason. But everything there is only $1 to $5. Those funds just go toward my education, and my education goes towards making videos for you guys and helping my minutes. So anyways, look forward. This has been out. I'm not a big fan of working out in gyms, as most people know. I have my gym you guys are actually kind of joining me in right now. It's not a complicated setup. It's just a little bit of dumbbells, some plates, and basically 2 keychain gyms that are built into the wall, essentially, just a little bit stronger strength. But anyways, I'll show you guys my arm workouts, my core workouts, my leg workouts. Each workout is roughly, give or take, 20 minutes. You guys always ask me, how are my workouts so fast if I'm doing 3, 4, 5 sets? Well, I'm going to show you. It's just called having an efficient workout using correct principles of intensity and training intelligently. Again, using intelligent knowledge of biomechanics and a few other things. But anyways, I'll be doing demonstrations as well. Another requested one is outside workouts with little to no tools, basically. Now, that's actually why I made the keychain gym. But some people, they still just want to go to the park and they just want to use, the actual equipment at the park. So I'll be doing calisthenic videos and things. I'm not a big fan of calisthenics in general, but some of the movements are actually efficient at building muscle. So I'll be getting into that and explain why. What else here? I'll also be doing a video explaining the pros and cons of the pistol squat, as well as how to perform one, if you're interested. And one-arm push-ups, video about how to do it. If you don't want to do it, no worries. It's not like it's necessary. It's kind of a showing movement, and you have to have sufficient strength as well as coordination and balance in your limbs. But again, if you want to learn how to do a one-arm push-up, I'll be doing a video for that. And finally, I'll be doing a video on the benefits of breath holds. So that's on the agenda for this week. That's a total of 13 videos, possibly 16 videos. that I'll be posting between this week and next week. That's about it for now. So moving forward, let's see if I have any questions yet. Just give it a second. It just means my internet's slow. Oh, here we go. So 901 ATD. Best angle for glute work. Okay. So the easiest way to explain this is because it's a little bit complicated to explain angles without actually demonstrating. So let's just say we'll go through a couple of good glute exercises, and hopefully you can kind of extrapolate from there. So the step up is a glute exercise, just so everybody knows, but most people don't actually perform it for their glutes, and I'll explain why. So when you're doing a step up, your objective is actually to load the glutes. However, the more that you lean your torso forward over top of your working leg, the leg which is bent and actually lifting your body up, that's more of a quad loaded movement, not quite as much glute, and of course you're reducing the load on the glute either way because you're moving the load forward over top of the leg. So the step up, if you'd like to use it to train your glute, you want to maintain a vertical back while you're doing so. I highly recommend doing the pendulum step up, as you can control the difficulty just depending where you put the actual step itself and where your foot placement is, as well as the angle of your body. I have videos in my exercise library how to perform the pendulum glute step up and a couple other variations for the glute. And I also have 3 or 4 different videos of the best ways to train your glutes as well. So you should just Google or YouTube those videos, you'll find them. But long story short, the step up's just a simple explanation. So the glute connects on top of your pelvis, kind of goes under and around your body, and it connects to the upper part of your upper leg, behind on the back of the upper leg. Its function is to move the upper part of your leg, to move your upper leg backwards. That's what it does. So I always like to compare the legs to the shoulders. It's just a simple way for people to think about it. You got your shoulder, so you got your front deltoid connects here. That moves your arm up. You have your lateral deltoid. It moves your arm laterally. You have your rear deltoid. It moves your arm diagonally backwards. You have your lat itself, which pulls the upper arm in, and then you have the pec, which pulls it towards the center of your torso. All right, so that's the arm. Now, if you want to compare that to the leg, on your leg, you have your psoas muscle. That's responsible for lifting your leg. Then you have your adductor and your abductor, which are responsible for in and out of your leg. Then you have your glute, which is the opposite of the psoas, pulls it backwards. So anytime you're doing a glute movement, what you want to be focusing on essentially is bringing your knee from a position in front of your body to behind your body. That will actually activate the glute. Now the glute has other functions as well, but that's the primary function of the glute. That's the muscle you guys are really trying to train. So again, when you're doing your step ups, do them keeping your back vertical, and you also want to go nice and slow and controlled. The reason people don't is it's easier not to. So they use their off foot, the one that's still on the ground, and they kind of bounce with it or they jump with it. That's completely unloading the calf when you do, or the glute when you do that. Or when they go to lower themselves, they won't lower themselves, they'll just drop. So again, most people just have very weak glutes, which is why they stay weak, because they keep compensating in other ways, using their quadriceps, leaning forward, bouncing, using momentum, dropping instead of lowering, etc. So the glute's a good example. The glute kickback machine, that's the machine where you're leaning forward and your knee is starting kind of up next to your chest, and then you push it backwards in a straight line. Also a very good recommendation. Again, I have videos on this, so I don't want to harp on it too much. But again, just check out the videos. But long story short, you want to take your knee basically above, like parallel with your pelvis. And as long as you're starting in that position with significant load, and then in the ending position where your knee is going to be positioned behind your pelvis slightly, you should have minimal load. That would be the ideal kind of alignment, if you will. So the starting with a mechanical disadvantage and maximum load, and ending with a mechanical advantage where your muscle is fully contracted but minimal load. So that's the ideal range of motion, which is why the step up works so well. When your knee is bent, your foot is placed on whatever, the chair or the bench, and you're going to step up. That is a maximum load, provided you're not jumping with your off foot or leaning forward or using momentum of some kind. And then when you're standing at the top of the position, there is no load on your glute, so there's minimal load. So again, I hope you understand, guys. Next question. Did I play any sports in high school? Well, I did, and it didn't go very well. Anybody who knows me would understand why this is the case. I wasn't a very good team player, and that's because I didn't understand people. So my whole life, my thing is, even as a kid, I won't get into my personal history, but if I wanted something, I had to go and get it. No matter what it took, I had to get it myself. I didn't have anyone to help me. So I tried joining the baseball team, and what would happen is we lost our first game because we didn't practice. Now, I was practicing every single day in the field for hours. My teammates never practiced. We lost the first game, and I got so pissed off and mad, and I screamed at all of them because they wouldn't practice and they didn't run and they were out of shape, and I was miserable with them because what the fuck, why are we on a team? Why are we playing if we're not playing to win? And everybody's response is, well, it's about the game. It's about having fun. And my response was, no, it's about winning, and I want to win. So I stopped baseball. And then I went to football, and the same thing happened. And I tried rugby, the same thing happened. The swim team, the same thing happened. People were not pulling their weight, they were not working as hard as I was, and it really just made me depressed and disgusted with everybody. So I started doing my own thing. Literally, I just started doing everything on my own. I mean, I had my friends, but I didn't really even include them in my activities because I knew that they would hold me back. So I was always doing everything on my own. Eventually, I found martial arts. I did martial arts quite a bit, which is where I learned proper teamwork, and I got humbled quite a bit as well. What did I do next? Well, then I got into a whole bunch of other things. It doesn't matter, but all of them are very much the same. They're all me alone, working on my craft alone as much as I want, obsessing, getting as good as I want. That's why I like bodybuilding. Bodybuilding, you win or you lose based on your performance, nobody else's. You can't point the finger at anybody else. You put the food in the mouth, you do the training, you do the research, you do the study, and if you fail, it's entirely your fault. So that's why I like it. You do everything, it's all on you. When there's a team and a bunch of people aren't pulling their weight, just like at work, when you're working and a lot of your teammates aren't pulling their weight, pisses you off, pisses me off. I don't put up with it. But I did enjoy playing sports, but not in a team setting. Teams always really irritated me, and they still, to this day, they kind of irritate me a bit because I don't like people not giving their all, which is why I'm a coach. I try to get people to give their all. But great question, thank you. Does pendulum spot work all four heads of the quads effectively? Is it necessary to do separate hip flexor exercises? Okay, great question. Good question. Yes, so long story short, the pendulum squat, as far as I know, I have not actually run the numbers on it, meaning the trigonometry necessary to discover the actual factors necessary for me to determine its efficiency. However, I can tell you just by looking at it without running numbers that it is the most effective quad movement, aside from perhaps the actual, let's say, machine-assisted sissy squat that I know of. The reason I say it might even be better than the sissy squat is because of the actual mechanics of it. So if you were here for the discussion of the glute, I addressed that you want to be starting from a mechanical disadvantage with your levers in your body, the bones of your body want to be at a mechanical disadvantage. You want the muscle to be lengthened to the proper length, and you want to basically be starting with as much load as is possible in this position in relation to gravity. Then as the lever moves through its resistance arc, it needs to pass perpendicularly through gravity. Kind of gravity is here, the lever needs to go like this, and it needs to be 100% active lever. Then it needs to go through the other half of the movement, and it needs to end with the mechanical advantage with the muscle contracted or fully shortened. So the pendulum squat addresses all of these things beautifully. And another reason I like it is because it's extremely hard to screw it up. Provided you're doing it anything like what you guys see the demos, you'll be perfectly loading your quads in a perfect resistance curve. At that point, it's just a matter of educating you guys as to how you receive more or less load on your muscle at different points of the movement. But you got to remember, when it comes to things like muscle growth, it's an all or nothing principle. So either all of the muscles are firing or none of them are. The pendulum sissy squat, for example, the reason it's so good is it targets all your quadriceps. It allows your pelvis to remain open for the whole movement. Your quadriceps actually connect inside your pelvis. When you're doing a leg extension or something, not only is the resistance curve not ideal, but also your pelvis is rotated and kind of crushing your quads, preventing them from fully contracting. So the pendulum sissy squat, again, it's a really good one in my opinion. I use it in my own training quite regularly. Probably every other leg day I do pendulum sissy squats. It's a very fast version. You can easily control the amount of weight. It's great for flexibility, posture, and overall stability control. There's no compression on your spine. It is absolutely a great way to efficiently train your quads. And another great thing about it is there's so many different accessibility options. So all you really need is like a belt and 2 ropes of some kind and a wall. You can use your arms holding onto 2 different bars of some kind at a park, for example, and just keep bending your knees. It's infinitely variable. It's much more comfortable than the traditional sissy squat where you hold a plate on your chest, hold 1 bar, and you go down. It creates imbalances anyways. So I'm a big fan. I've come up with quite a few different versions of it. Me and Doug Brignoli, were talking about this quite a bit. He's not actually creating anything new here. This version has been around for a while. He's kind of popularizing it, and he did the good biomechanical breakdown of it so we understand the best ways to do it. But before he passed, yeah, this was a big favorite of his. We talked about it a lot, actually. And we went over all the different variations. It was kind of funny chatting about it because I said, why can't we do it for other movements? Not just the quads. So I've incorporated it for a lot of other things as well. If you check out my exercise library, I like the pendulum calf raises as well. I like the pendulum glute step-ups. Like, these are all really efficient moves you guys can do using exactly the same setup. It's just very efficient because it keeps you inside of a perfect resistance curve. It's very comfortable, and it's basically just you creating a simple pivot machine using 2 ropes and some kind of a harness. But anyways, let's get back to the other questions here. I've been looking at where the glutes insertions end. I've noticed that they don't go straight down, but slightly out. Would having your foot slightly in be better? All right, so I deal with this a lot when it comes to the glutes, guys. Everybody wants to know, because the glutes have technically 4 or 5 different functions, depending how you want to look at it. They actually have multiple functions. They have functions like rotating the leg bone out, rotating the leg bone in. That's the glute. That's not your adductors or your abductors that are responsible for that. So, long story short, and this is what I kind of tell everybody, doing something like the step up or the pendulum glute step up or the glute kickback, any of these movements are going to train your entire glute pretty goddamn efficiently, like to the best of its ability almost. These secondary or tertiary functions of the glute, they don't typically really require training. Again, I'm going to say, in my opinion, outside of sport specific, because the other functions involve extremely tiny, small little portions of the glute, which really, again, they're just so small. Like, what's the point of growing them? They don't really add too much beyond stability and coordination. And they get plenty of work when you're walking, when they're jogging, when you're jumping around, when you're laterally moving. They get tons of work just stabilizing you. They don't really grow. So it's like training the solaris on the calf. The calf is made of 2 muscles, the gastrocnemius and the solaris. The solaris is basically just a long tendon. It has almost no capacity for muscle growth. The only point in training it is to train the fast twitch muscle fibers to make you actually move a little bit quicker. The muscle itself won't ever get any bigger no matter what you do to it. Just like your abs. Your abs are basically the thickness of 2 pieces of paper. No matter how hard you train them, they're never really going to get beyond the thickness of 3 pieces of paper. Doesn't matter what you do. It's completely irrelevant. That's just the case. So I would say focus again on the big movements for the glute. Don't worry about those little ones unless it's a flexibility issue, and that's more of a consistent stretching thing every day than direct work. Again, unless it's sport specific, but then you would already know that. Is there a need to work out interior glutes? Oh, I think I just addressed that. That's basically what I was just addressing. That's why I wrestled in high school. Oh yeah, back to what I was saying earlier about myself. No, that makes a good point. I didn't do wrestling. It just honestly seemed really gross to me. I don't like touching people. I don't like people touching me. I don't like touching people. I don't even like getting near people unless I know them intimately. It's just how I am my whole life. Wrestling the same way. I'm not a big fan. it's just the intimacy of it. I'm not a fan. My big issue with jujitsu was, again, the intimacy thing. You know, you got a guy choking you out, or you're wrapped up and you're rolling on the ground. You got another big hairy guy, and you, for me, it was a very disgusting. Like, I had to overcome my disgust sensitivity because I wouldn't think. I lost my ability to think in those situations because I was just overcome with like disgust. So I had to overcome that a while ago in regards to just like other humans. Do you monitor vitamin deficiency in your diet? Is there a superfood that hits all vitamins? To the best of my knowledge, could be wrong. To the best of my knowledge, there's no superfood that hits all vitamins, and that's probably impossible. And yes, of course, I monitor my diet very carefully, actually, as well as deficiencies. Now, I won't bore you guys, but I mean, there are many, many different books on how to spot vitamin deficiencies, what they lead to, and I would really like urge you guys, maybe I'll make a video about this, but there's so many warning signs when you're deficient in something. It's not like you don't know. People don't know because they don't know what to look for, just like with everything else. This is why I say knowledge is power. If you have the right information up here and you see, you're getting acne, you can infer certain things depending on what your protocols are. If you see that you're getting red rashes in certain areas in your body, you can infer certain things if you have the correct knowledge. I mean, this is why doctors have to study so much, because they have to remember all these damn things. But you have to. It's very important. I have spoken about this. I know most of you guys who tune into my channel, you all tune in for the biomechanics from the exercise part. But I'd like to remind you, that's literally only 5 to 10% of what I do with my clients. It's a very small fraction of what I do with my clients. Most of what I do with my clients is address things like this, like food sensitivities, like correcting their vitamins, educating them about their diet and their microbiome, educating them about how to correct their breathing patterns and their posture, educating them about sleeping correctly, etc., etc., etc. Your exercises are just such a small part of it. I come to my gym for 20 minutes a day. I mean, for my workout, I mean, I'm probably in here 9 or 10 hours a day with clients who are working or creating lectures and videos, but I mean, I'm only in here 20 minutes a day for my workout. It's, it's like me brushing my teeth. I don't psych myself up for it. I don't do a pre-workout. I don't, none of this. I just have a good, healthy body. 6 days a week, I come in here and I do my exercise real quick. It's 6 to 8 exercises, 3 to 4 sets, and I'm in and I'm out. And then I'm on to my next task. I'm not exhausted afterwards. I'm not fatigued. I'm not drained. I'm not covered in sweat and blah. No, I had a good workout and it's over with now. And now it's time for the rest of my day, the other 23 and a half hours where I need to be eating correctly, sleeping correctly, being mindful of my posture, being mindful of my emotions, being mindful of all of these things. That is considerably more important. Again, I keep hammering that point home, but people don't want to listen to me. What are my opinions about powerlifting from an injury risk and biomechanics point of view? Well, I kind of think most people would know my answer to that. I'm not a fan of powerlifting, and I'm saying this as somebody who did powerlifting for 4.5 years, as a matter of fact. I was the guy who was obsessed with it. Again, I get obsessed with things. I had my own powerlifting gym, etc. Everything. If I remember correctly, my bench was, I think it was 395 at its best. I never hit 400. I think maybe 385. My best deadlift was, I believe, if I remember correctly, 650 or 680. I can't remember. I never got 700. And my best squat was just a tad over 500, I believe. But again, regardless, this was me being a moron. This was me wasting my time and damaging my body like a fuckwit. I remember always constantly being sore, never actually wanting to do my workout because I hurt so much. I mean, like, I could keep going and going and going. The number of clients I have seen who have previously been either powerlifters or CrossFitters, and they come to me covered in injuries, no desire to work out, depressed because of the diets these morons have had them on, the paleo diets and shit and everything else, or the power lifters who just eat every fucking pizza, cake, cookie, candy, and they say that they're bulking, when in reality they're just big fat fucks. No, I'm not a fan of the powerlifting community. I'm not a fan of the powerlifting exercises. I think it is entirely ego-based, and I really think powerlifting should go away. Olympic lifting and CrossFit as well. All three of those things, I really think that they really either need to be modified greatly or they need to go away. because they're entirely ego-based. They're destroying people, literally. I know it's not very nice, but yeah. I use a pipe for calf raises. It allows me to get much more of a stretch. I recommend using it. I got the idea from Red Delta because of the roundness. It gives you more range of motion. Yeah, especially a curved pipe would be very helpful. Yeah, I use a pipe all the time at the park, actually. Grass-fed beef or deer elk liver is the closest thing to a superfood that covers everything you need, especially eaten raw. Yeah, that's a good point, Randall. Actually, a lot of people, they don't know this enough. A lot of old school bodybuilders, and myself as well, I take a shit ton of desiccated liver tablets. And I also love eating organ meats as well. And the reason for this is exactly what you just stated. A simple explanation, or perhaps anecdotal, I guess you could say, but not really, is in the wild, you got the wolf packs, you got the leader, the alpha. But when they take down a kill, the alpha gets first bite. And the alpha always is going to eat the liver. He's always going to eat the heart. And that's what the alpha eats. It's not some spooky voodoo shit. It's because that's where all of the actual minerals and vitamins are kept and stored. So he gets them, he gets more strength because he has more vitamins and minerals. So yeah, really good point actually, Randall. But again, it still does not cover, I mean, that covers like maybe 50% or perhaps less. I'm not exactly sure. I don't want to give you a percentage. Do I believe in the do I believe in the reverse hyper machine like the one Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell invented? No, I certainly do not. I'm not a big fan of anything that Louis Simmons from Westside Barbell has to say or has invented. Granted, I'm ignorant in quite a bit of it. However, I quite frequently am sent videos of him or his clients doing some of the stupidest, dumbest shit I've ever seen. And you will notice that out of his successful athletes, the only ones who are actually successful athletes, just like with most coaches or personal trainers who train bodybuilders, they have very, very few who are able to make it through. This is because they are genetic freaks. You're not a genetic freak. This style of training does not apply to you. You're not taking massive amounts of drugs. This style of training does not apply to you. And each and every one of these gentlemen who are ego lifting like these fuckwits that they are going to have destroyed bodies and a severely compromised quality of life moving forward. But I'm glad that they stroked their egos when they were younger. Let's see here. Can burgers and pasta-based meals be nutritionally adequate if made with high-quality ingredients? Yeah, of course. There's no question about that whatsoever. I mean, not to again promote myself here, but right back there, that's my cookbook. It's on the Etsy store, and not only is it a cookbook, I even hate calling it a cookbook because it's really not. What it is an extremely comprehensive nutritional guide and 10-step program to get on the perfect diet. It goes through each step individually. It answers all of your questions you could possibly have all along the process, and then at the end of the book, I think it's the final 30 or 40 pages are nothing but 100 plus recipes or modifiable recipes that you can use, which are all delicious and nutrient-packed, low food map foods, which are going to feed your microbiome and keep you healthy, full of nutrients and vitamins. This is shit that I eat every day. These are things you guys would not normally consider to be these kind of health foods. It's pizza, it's peanut butter and jelly, it's fucking French toast. It's all the crap I eat regularly. Tacos, quesadillas, ice cream. It's fine. I mean, again, remember, a lot of you guys don't know this. I was a fine dining chef for 16 years. Traveled all around the world, doing all kinds of cooking. I know how to cook. I know how to make stuff good. I know biochemistry. I know a lot about nutrition. I know a ton about these things. I know how to do it. It's not hard. This is why none of my clients struggle either. It's all how you think about food. CrossFit seems to be all about momentum. It's like a reckless form of muscle building. CrossFit just seems to be all about ego. It is some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. And the CrossFit champions, again, interesting note. Most people don't know this because it's not publicized. I know this. The CrossFit champions don't even train CrossFit style. The day of the CrossFit Games is the only time they do those movements. The rest of the time, they're doing intelligent training styles and training like athletes. They're not training like fucking retards trying to give themselves sclerosis for time, for fuck's sake, or whatever they're doing. Lifting weights fast is never a good idea. Lifting heavy loads fast over your head using full body movements that you can't properly brace or control using momentum Well, this is why all those people are covered in tapes, bandages, taking days and weeks and months off, depressed, broken, hormonally imbalanced fuckwits. This is CrossFit. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in the fitness industry that's ever come out of it. I'm not kidding. I really consider CrossFit worse than powerlifting. At least with powerlifting, they're careful. They're still going to damage their bodies, but at least they're careful about it. With CrossFit, they'll just give anyone a fucking license to teach CrossFit. Believe me, I've seen it. And the number of damages, hospital visits, I can't even begin to imagine. But again, I don't want to beat CrossFit to death here. I'm sure there's probably one or two in the entire world good instructors of the fucking thing. So good on them. But everybody else is horrible. How many days a week do I work out currently? And do I exercise till failure? All right, you guys really need to keep up with my videos. I'm getting a lot of the same questions again and again. Guys, I know a lot of you guys aren't readers, but I have all of these questions you guys answer in my books. I have over 600 lectures on YouTube now. I've made all of these things. Failure training is not the most productive way to train. The only way I'm ever going to train my body is the most effective and productive way to do so. I was doing failure training until roughly a year and a half ago, where I came upon all of the new research on hypertrophy. Failure training is not the way to go. The way to go is, check it out. I just made a video about this. If you guys haven't checked it out already, it's called the Ultimate Hypertrophy Guide. And I go over all aspects of this. It's about a 30-minute video. I highly recommend you guys check it out. It's a really good watch or listen to or whatever. But anyways, just to answer it simply, I work out 6 days a week. I always have. I do the same exercises biomechanically that I tell you guys to do. I do 3 to 4 sets, depending on just kind of my general mood. I do them with 2 to 3 reps in reserve. The first 2 sets that I do are sarcoplasmic sets. So I'm doing them to actually increase the amount of sarcoplasm fluid. Think of them like pump sets in my arms. They're higher rep, 20 to 30 reps, but still close to failure, but not full failure, 2 to 3 reps away. That's the first 2 sets. Then the last 2 sets, depending again if I'm doing 3 or 4, those are going to be high intensity, lower rep range, slightly higher loading, and I'll be stopping somewhere between 15 to 20 reps. Again, close to failure, but 2 to 3 reps short of failure. I also add in several different little techniques here and there, pump sets at the finish. The final third range, I'll add some heavy isometric contractions, etc. Just kind of depending on my mood. But I would like to remind you guys, I am not the genetic elite. I am not taking drugs. I am, originally, I was a 135-pound cook who was essentially anorexic no matter how much I ate or anything else. As a power lifter, I was only about 140 pounds when I was deadlifting and bench pressing and squatting all that weight I told you guys previously. People used to think it was freakish of me. It was just me understanding how to use my levers, having strong tendons. That's it. It's never big. Since I've learned biomechanics and Doug Bernoulli started mentoring, as he passed now, but he began mentoring me over 8 years ago, teaching me everything he knew about biomechanics. Since then, I've only used the correct biomechanical exercises, granted with some different degree of competency as my knowledge has grown. And I put on roughly 5 to 8 pounds of muscle every single year. And this holds true this year. This year, as near as I can tell, I haven't measured at the end of the year yet, but I put on at least another 5 or 6 pounds of muscle. Every single year, I do a photo shoot in November. I just did my last photo shoot where I go through all the mandatory poses. I've done this for the past 6 years. You can physically see the changes in muscle put on my body every year naturally. By the way, I don't bulk and cut either. I hate bulking and cutting. That is yo-yo dieting for morons who are bodybuilders. There's no reason to bulk and cut. Again, written about in my other books here, the cookbook. Bulking and cutting is very stupid, destroys your metabolism. All I do is I eat the same amount of calories year round. I make sure I get more than enough protein, and I have a little bit over my calories every day. That's it. When I have a photo shoot, I have a competition, I have something or other I need to look good for, I just cut my calories a little bit for a couple of weeks, I increase my cardio a little bit, and I'm ready to go. The number of people who maintain 12 to 15% body fat year-round for their whole life is pretty low, but I'll tell you what, it's pretty goddamn easy if you know how to do it. It's not just me who does it. Most of my clients do as well because it's the healthiest way to exist. Makes you feel the best and everything else. But anyways, let's get back to the questions here, guys. I bet your cookbook is a billion times better than Greg Duchette's. Well, I mean, I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to badmouth Greg Duchette. I really, really like Greg Duchette. I really like his knowledge. His cookbook, as far as I remember, is $99. My cookbook is $10. And the first, give or take, I think 60 pages is just explaining everything in childlike language so you understand. And it's a 10-step program, and then all of the recipes. I mean, I address the chemistry aspect, I address the cooking, the meal prepping, everything. It's all in there. I think it's considerably better. I've seen his. It looked pretty pathetic to me. But Greg's not a chef either. Greg's a bodybuilder. He's not a chef. I'm a chef. I've written a lot of different cookbooks. It's a little bit different. Next question here. 130, 145 pounds at 162. Now, I told you, yeah, I was a skeleton. What was I? So I was a chef, and I was wearing large chef coats, large pants, but I had to tie them and put the apron around the coat to keep it tight enough. And my diet, I'd say it all the time, don't ever do this. This is when I was an idiot back in the day working at Gotham Steak in South Beach. But my diet was literally steak, Red Bull, and rum for a year and a half. I slept maybe 4 hours in the office at night. I would just pass out on the desk or sleep on the floor, depending. Sometimes there's a pile of laundry I would sleep on. And then I would go back to work for anything from 16 to 20 hours every day for a year and a half. This is Michelin star cooking. This is fine dining. I was just so tiny. I had all kinds of mental problems because of my diet and shit. I mean, again, but I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better. I just thought I was hot shit. I was a 22-year-old Michelin-starred chef working at a fine dining restaurant in South Beach with Alfred Portale. I didn't care, whatever it takes. That's always been my mentality, whatever it takes. So that was kind of fun, but, I'll never do it again. That was crazy. How much difference did you feel when you were on anabolic? Oh, was it training much easier, and how long were you on it for? Could you achieve now what you, good question. Okay, so long story short, what's the difference between being on steroids and being off steroids? So I go on steroids whenever I have a photo shoot, whenever I have a competition, etc. I do it intelligently. I never lie about how I do it either. Me and Jerry Branham many times have discussed steroids. I'm not a big fan of giving out advice just kind of off the cusp without a lot of background information when it comes to steroids, because people just take it and run with it. But I will say, and I've said it many times before, most people, when it comes to steroids, they way overdo it. They don't understand the compounds that they're using. They don't run a proper PCT, etc., etc., etc. I always use the minimum amount, basically to get the most bang for my buck. So when it comes to testosterone, you want to have a minimum base. Anything over 600, you're just going to get side effects. Now, this depends on the kind of test you're using. If you're using Prope or Cypionate or Sustanon or whatever, but provided it's a medium to quick-acting ester, you want to be no more than 600 per week. Again, I don't care who you are. Anything above that, you're just going to get more side effects. Now, testosterone as a base is good, but testosterone has lots of other different forms. Those are what you guys actually know of as steroids, like Winstrol, Anavar, Deca, these things. Those are much better than testosterone. I'm not going to make this a steroid talk. I don't want to get into it, but different steroids have different effects. Some of them make you feel really good. Some of them make you angry. Some of them make you depressed. Some of them, you get the idea. Some hold water. Again, I've experimented with quite a few steroids. I have quite a bit of knowledge about them. Long story short, when you are on steroids neurologically, the extra testosterone, the extra hormones actually makes effort feel good. So you provide more effort because you get more dopamine reward. So when you're in the gym, you do so. Plus the placebo effect of steroids, you think you're Superman. So you try harder, you do more, you push your limits further. I have a video where I just addressed this recently, the power of expectations in your physical performance. But long story short, it's a matter of having balanced testosterone, balanced hormones, balanced testosterone. When guys are on TRT, that's a steroid. It's the same thing. There's no difference, but they're having balanced testosterone, which makes them feel very good. and confident and everything else where they're supposed to, because everything's balanced. When you're taking anabolic steroids, you're going above that balance. You're going to a higher level because it's more than just TRT. So of course you're going to feel even better and you're going to give more effort, but it also comes with side effects. Depending who you are as a person, it'll be amplifying certain traits. It'll be making you more emotional, less patient, et cetera, et cetera. There's some steroids I would never recommend taking ever for any reason. Trenbolone is one of them. Me and Jerry have discussed this many times. It melts your brain, literally, it fucking melts your brain. You are completely unable to control your emotions. I'm not going to get it, but you're a wreck, basically. But big difference when you're on versus when you're off. And I never even overdid it. I just did, basic minimum what I could do to get my nice cut, defined appearance. And could I get where I am without having taken those drugs? I don't know, because nobody knows their genetic limit. I really like to think I could get where I am without taking them, just because it's not like I've ever been excessive, if that makes sense. I can't for the life of you tell you how many times I've actually done cycles. I would imagine 12 to 16. I'm not really sure exactly. 12 to 16 cycles, a large variety of chemicals, some of them longer than others. And I would say that I've definitely helped me gain muscle. And muscle cells are like fat cells. Once you build the muscle cell, it doesn't go away unless you have it removed. So those muscle cells are still all there dormant, but you can't really access them again without the additional antibiotics. So you can't grow into them without the additional antibiotics, if that makes sense. But if I was to start taking steroids again, you guys would see me get a little bit bigger, more rounder, more 3D, etc. You get the idea. I think I'm so extremely mindful of myself, my emotions, and self-regulating that I don't really let the steroids affect me in any way anymore. But when I was younger, they absolutely would wreck me emotionally sometimes. And sometimes I didn't understand the side effects, or I thought I did, but I'll leave it alone. Let's get off the steroids here. So I'm gonna end this in just a second anyways. Duchette's cookbook is $150. Oh my God, yeah, that is not worth not to be rude to Greg, but that's not worth $150. It's like 30 pages and the recipes are common sense anyways. Do I have any pictures of myself when I was at skinny? I get asked that all the time. I have a photo book, but they're like hard pictures. I'll see if I can put some pictures up here for you I don't have any digital pictures. I never took any digital pictures. Some friends did here and there. I'm sure digging around in some old phones, I could maybe find some, but I do have hard data pictures. I can show you guys. Yeah, I was just a skeleton, just a tiny little guy. Steroids always scared me because I feared getting shut down and then having to be on TRT forever. Well, long story short, steroids really should scare you, but not for getting shut down. In order to get shut down, you'd have to blast and cruise for quite a long time. Although people are different genetically with different tolerances, it's kind of hard to actually shut yourself off unless you're going completely crazy. And being on TRT forever, well, long story short, once you get over the age of about 40, you're probably going to have to be on TRT forever. So I don't know why that's scary to you. TRT is just the injections, by the way. I think I've mentioned this before, but I actually have a phobia of needles. I'm literally terrified of needles. I've had to overcome that, and I still have trouble with needles. But even so, if I was on TRT, I would have no difficulty injecting myself twice a week with the TRT. Do I have an eBay store? I do not. I have an Etsy store. That's linked in the description beneath any of my videos, my Instagram, my Facebook. It's on my website. Just check out the Etsy store. Everything there is digital download. Again, just for you to take and print it out from your computer and share it with as many people as you want. Get the information out there. But the only hard things on there right now are my keychain gym and my portable gym. Those are the only two hard things that I sell, and they're more expensive because of a lot of things that go into it. The other ones are all just like $1 to $5. Can one count warm-up sets as a form of cardio? Nope. Not the same thing. Don't even consider it. I'm not going to get into that. Just no. Would like to see your before and after pictures. Randall, if you go to my Instagram and you dig through my posts, I think a week or two down, I have a post where I showed the past 5 years of progression, no, past 6 years of progression with the photos. It's kind of interesting too, because you can see me getting more and more tattoos as well. So you can see the tattoos going on and you can see the muscles going on. I posted that just a couple weeks ago. Go to my Instagram, Coach Castle. You can see those pictures in a row. You can see the muscle going on. You can see the tattoos, the changes in my physique. I don't think I'm ever smiling, unfortunately, but you guys know I don't smile that much. I take things seriously. I am always happy. People ask me, am I happy? I'm generally happy. I just take life very seriously, and I don't feel the need to be smiling constantly, especially not when I'm educated. What side effects did you have while you were on? Do you regret doing it? And will you ever go back on? Oh, I'm probably going to do steroids again. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't even doubt that for a second. I'll be doing them again for probably a lot of different things, and I'll absolutely be getting on TRT when I need to. As for side effects, it's a big list, and I would really be like muddling it up if I had to give it to you with the drugs I was taking at the time, because I don't think I can remember. I do have actually I have accurate, detailed records of all of this, recording the drugs, the side effects, like literally I have detailed records of all of this, but just off the top of my head, I can't remember. I can tell you, it's pretty simple. If you're an asshole and you take steroids, you become more of a fucking asshole. It's pretty simple. If you're able to control your emotions and you're mindful of yourself, not too much happens. Taking tren, taking halotestin, taking too much testosterone in general is going to make you very aggressive, grumpy, lacking patience, and fuck up your sleep. Taking steroids in general over a TRT dose is going to screw up your sleep. It's going to increase your body temperature. It's going to increase your annoyance levels, your lack of patience. It could really, it could screw up all kinds of things. Maybe I should make a video about this, but I mean, long story short, I've said it many times in other videos, but steroids are just like anything else. They are a tool. They're a tool to be used with correct knowledge. They're not a tool to just give to somebody. Give a fucking gun to a monkey. You know what I mean? This is most people with steroids. They put the cart before the horse. They go in the gym, 2 weeks later, they're on gear. They have no idea what they're doing. They destroy their bodies. They shut themselves down. They wreck their hormones. This is very common nowadays. Again, I see this all the time. I'll spare you guys the details I get from these young men, and lately a lot of young women texting me that they ruined themselves with their fucking steroid use and what should they do, etc. Like 20, 25, 26 years old. They shouldn't even be touching drugs. But anyways, drugs are safe if you know how to use them. Any drug in the world is safe if you know how to use it and you're applying it correctly. People react differently to different compounds. People have different tolerances. It's an individual basis, so that the chemistry in general can be generally summarized. People still have individual reactions, so it's hard to say. I myself will definitely be using them again. I'll definitely be taking TRT when it's time for me to do so. I certainly don't regret taking them. I regret my first cycle. I thought I knew enough going in because I did a year of research into it. I thought I knew enough going into my first cycle, but I didn't. I made a lot of really obvious, stupid mistakes, which I actually knew better, to be fair, but I still did them just for whatever fucking reason. But it was a learning experience. It is what it is. I mean, I remember my first shot, a little story time very briefly before I shut this down. My first ever shot of steroids, I was so petrified. It took me like 5 or 6 minutes to get it in the syringe. And then I remember I was doing my right ass cheek. I decided to do the right ass cheek, and I did everything properly, standing, the proper bending, everything. And then I just kind of hovered with the syringe in front of my ass for like 5 minutes, and I tried to stick it in, and I just hit the tip and I pulled it out. And I went through that for a solid half an hour, just covered in sweat, shaking, trying to calm down. I'd leave the room, I'd come back, I'd try again. I had to keep changing the needles because I wanted a sharp needle point. And eventually when I got it in, and as soon as it went in me, I started blacking out. Like, you get the tunnel vision. I started blacking out. Like, no, inject, because if you're going to do this, just get it in there, then you can pass out afterwards. So this is literally what I did. I held off passing out until I had literally injected the liquid, but then I fucking passed out. And I was standing. So I fell over, and the fucking syringe still in my ass gets the needle bent in it. The needle's still in my ass. The syringe is pressed against me, and I'm passed out on the floor for I don't know how long. And I come to in a big pile of just blood on the floor and my ass. I'm stuck to the floor. The needle's still in my ass. I stand up. I pull it out. There's this huge lump under my skin. I'm all fucked up. I mean, so that was my first shot. And then 3 days later, I had to do it again to the other one. And you can imagine, like, this took it took a long time to get comfortable doing this. And I never, until about 2 years ago, ever had anybody help me with a shot. I always just did everything myself. So, I mean, it is what it is, guys. You do what you have to do. You know, it is what it is. All right, so let's get in here. So does EMF have negative effects on human health? I don't know what EMF stands for. If you could clarify that, please. What was your overall favorite cycle? Hard to say. I think the most useful one I had, it was just testosterone, equipoise, winstrol, and proviron. I think that was the most useful one I had. You can't find me on Instagram. It's just Coach Castle on Instagram. Just put in Coach Castle Instagram. If it's Facebook, it's Castle Thompson. And the website is castleinprogress.com. And my email is castleinprogress@gmail.com. And my Etsy store is some version of that with Etsy in front of it. But all those they'll be in the description beneath any of my YouTube videos, guys, if you have some trouble. Where was I here? I'm going to be wrapping this up in about 5 minutes, guys, so get your last questions in. Any experience with melatonin 2? Oh, that's the one that I know, but I had a couple of friends who used it to tan their skin, unless I'm mistaking that one, and they all reported very positive experiences with it. Why is it advised to train opposite muscles in the same workout, e.g. triceps, biceps, not triceps and pecs? Great question, actually. It's because of the reciprocal inhibition effect. So when I train my biceps, my tricep has absolutely nothing to do with it. It's literally neurologically shut off, so my bicep can perform that function. So, by the way, this is how I train so rapidly. So for me on my arm day, I start off biceps. Then I immediately put the biceps down, so put the weight down, sorry, and then I pick up my weight for triceps, and then I do triceps. And then I do forearm flexors, and then I do forearm extensors, and then I do front deltoids, then I do rear deltoids, then I do lateral deltoid, then I do latissimus. I mean, you could keep going, but these are just opposite muscle groups, and when one is operating, the other one is turned off. So it's a very effective, very rapid way to train. I mean, you could, of course, make the case, like you want to do biceps and quadricep. You know, they have nothing to do with each other. Why is this beneficial? It's because muscles have a set form, a set amount of glucose or fuel to actually be contracting. So you want to like literally kind of get burned out essentially with the glucose and fatigue that muscle. Now, in order to do that, you can only do it one muscle at a time effectively. So if you want to fully exhaust the bicep, you have to fully exhaust the bicep first. But then when you go to use the tricep has all brand new energy reserves. It was completely unaffected by you training the bicep. It's not like it gave any of its glucose to the bicep. So now you can fully train that muscle, which has been switched off neurologically this whole time. So it's just a very effective way to train is opposing muscle groups. So if you're going to do chest, for example, people always call this push-pull day, but I just think that's some of the stupidest thing to call it. Muscles don't pull. Muscles don't push. Muscles only pull. I don't know who thinks muscles push, but they sure as fuck don't. Muscles only pull. So when you're doing a bench press, any form of pec movement, you're pulling your arm to your chest. There's no pushing involved there. And again, when you're doing a scapular retraction, for example, for your mid-trapezius, well, those muscle fibers are pulling your shoulder blade to your spine. So again, but regardless, you'd want to be doing a pec movement followed by a mid-trap movement, as those are the opposing muscle groups on your body. If you're doing your abdominals, do your abdominals for your flexion, and then do your erector spinae for your extension. Those are opposing muscle groups. One moves the spine forward, one moves the spine backwards. But anyways, last questions here. Is TRT necessary for older individuals above 60 years? Well, that's hard to say. It depends on the person. There are, I'm sure, probably a very few genetically elite individuals who may not need TRT at that age. I would say, on average, 99% of people, absolutely 100%, yeah, you should be. I'll just leave it at that because I got to wrap this up here. I have other videos with Jerry Brainham on this. Check out my podcast with Jerry Brainham or my Mythbusters. EMF is electrical and magnetic field. I thought that's what it was, but I didn't know how that related to training. So, no, I know nothing about that in relation to training. I really doubt it has any effect. I would just put it that way. Well, there are a lot of things in the fitness industry that involve these, and as far as I can tell, they're all bullshit. I might make a video about this. I've been asked this many times. I've looked into it a couple times, not comprehensively, but the reason I haven't comprehensively looked into it is because as soon as I look at it, it just all the data looks like complete horseshit. But anyways, I don't know, to be fair. Found your Instagram, but can't find your before photo. Saw a picture of you restocking shelves in a school and other pics. Oh, that was a charity thing I just did with some friends. Just keep digging down. If you don't find it, just send me an email directly and I'll send you some pics. But it's just go down a couple weeks. I'm bad with time. Do I use anti-aging peptides? I don't, but I do recommend them. And thoughts on Tony Huge? I don't know enough about the guy. He does seem to be attempting to educate people, although I think it's mostly sensationalism. He definitely has some knowledge. He definitely is a little bit more cavalier about it than I would like. He's kind of lackadaisy with everything. It's just, oh, you just take these 27 chemicals and you're fine. He might be right in specific situations, but it just seems to me generally he is promoting a life of more is better, excess. There are no consequences to your actions. Live in the moment. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of taking care of your future self, becoming better over time, improving yourself over time. I'm not a big fan of what I think Tony Huge is about. It seems to be more, let's do all of these things as rapidly as possible to get the best results and ignore the consequences. I'm not a fan of that. My supplement stack, that's a lot. So I've addressed this a lot, but every morning I take 40 or 50 pills. Every midday I take 20 pills or so, and before bed I take another 20 or 30 pills. These are supplements, these are vitamins, these are minerals. I also have a really good diet, but I have to take all of these things to be on top of my game and to keep my body as highly functioning as possible. There's a lot of things in that stack. I don't even know where to begin. I'm wrapping this up now, so you don't believe a day natty is a day wasted? That's just, I don't know if he says that, but no. I mean, humans have been natural for like ever. We've only come up with anabolics about 60 years ago, man. I mean, this is like people who say that the squat, the deadlift, and the bench press are must-do exercises and they're the only way to build things. The deadlift, the squat, and the bench press are terrible exercises. They're horribly inefficient and they're really stupid. Just because we've traditionally done them for 50 years, as long as exercise has been around, doesn't mean shit. They've all been scientifically disproven as being wildly inaccurate. They're not efficient. They destroy your body. They don't produce productive gains. This is the same thing with drugs. Can you enhance yourself with drugs? Absolutely. Do I enhance myself with drugs? Absolutely. Do most people enhance themselves with drugs? Yeah. What the hell do you think caffeine is? What do you think nicotine is? Enhancements. But anyways, everybody live their own way. I live enhanced sometimes, I guess you'd say. I'm not always natty. But then again, what's to say what's not natural? It is what it is. If we have these things here, even if they're man-made, it's still natural. It's still made with natural ingredients. It's still made with things that we found. We didn't pull something from our imagination and create with it. Technically, everything's natural. Humans are evolving to the next level. Pretty soon we might merge with computers. Who's to say it's not natural to have elevated hormone levels? I mean, if you want to, why not? If you want to cover yourself some tattoos, why not? If you want to say, you know, you get the idea. And yeah, it was a pleasure talking to you guys. How much money do I spend on all your vitamins monthly? Must be through the roof. I don't think so. But then again, I've never lied about this. The only things I spend money on pretty much are my health and my company. That's just about the only things I spend money on. I've had all the same clothes for years. I've had all the same things for years. I've had the same everything for years. I don't like to spend money on things, again, unless it involves my company, it involves reaching more people with my message, or it's for my personal health or advancement. I spend lots of money on me taking classes and courses. I spend money on books, expanding my mental knowledge. I spend money on lots of different healthy foods and supplements. I don't spend money on just about anything else. That's just my choice. I know most people don't want to do that. If I had to put a number on how much I spend on my supplements every month, I would think about $300, probably maybe 350. If you're including my marijuana usage as a supplement, as you guys know, I smoke a ton of weed all day. That number would probably go to 750 or 850, depending. So that would be my supplements. But again, that's a lot. It's a lot of minerals. It's a lot of everything. I don't even know where to begin. It's a lot. So it's a lot. Maybe I'll do a video where I show you guys all my pills and what I take and why I take them, but I feel like even that would be a very lengthy video. I address supplements again in all of my things here. If you guys ever want to support me, go digitally download something, share me $1, $2, whatever. I have all my links in the description. I got a GoFundMe if you guys want to start. I just started it. If you guys want to help support me on GoFundMe, again, all I'm doing is taking everything I know and I'm giving it to you guys. If you ever consider being a client of mine, let me know. Most people only get coached by me for a couple months, and that's because I prioritize your education. So you always say, a lot of people heard this, well, you can give a man a fish, or you can teach a man to fish. Well, what I do is I give you a fish every single day, all the while I'm teaching you how to fish. That's why you don't ever need a personal trainer after you're done with me. You never need a nutritionalist. You never need any of these things, because you've got all the information and a lot more you didn't even know existed to make your life better. Most people, again, on average, work with me 3 months. That's a 3-month commitment. On average, that's $1,500 for 3 months with me. You get each and every single one of these resources provided. You get your own custom-made plan. You get all the conversations you could ever want with me. You get unlimited access to me, text, email, and phone, etc. I'm taking clients right now. I currently have spots for 7. So if anybody would like, just let me know. And again, with the holidays coming up pretty soon, I think I'm going to start offering a few different plans at a very reduced cost because it's the holidays and you should buy them for people. But yeah, that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much. And I'll see you all next Sunday. It's always going to be Sunday, 11 a.m. till 12, unless something changes, but I'll update you guys with that. Everybody, thank you so much for the support. Please remember to give this video a like, a share, and a comment if you can. Anything helps the algorithm. And guys, enjoy your Sunday.